It's clobbering time!
So today we're diving into the Anycubic Kobra S1. And this has absolutely been clobbering the competition with its major value proposition of including a multicolor filament system, as well as a crazy amount of free filament. It's giving you a lot of bang for your buck. But here's the thing, and I'm not talking about Ben Grimm here. There's some critical tips and tricks you must know before you buy this 3D printer. Some real gotchas that could either make or break your experience. Today, we're going to do a full deep dive into the Kobra S1. I'm gonna go over those tips that you must know. And I'm gonna even show you how I put together this awesome thing helmet right here so that you could go to the movie in style. We're gonna cover everything you need to know about the Kobra S1 right after this.
Welcome to the show that sets your mind free. Tech and gadgets, 3D surprise. Captain Creativity. Honesty inside to regularity. With David's guiding light, invention spark and take their flight.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Captain Creativity. I am your host, David Merrill, and today we're going to be unboxing the Anycubic Kobra S1. I've been very excited to get my hands on this because this is their first Core XY ready to go solution, and the price point is just ridiculous. Their combo unit starts off at $599. That's for 4 rolls of filament, the Ace Pro, which is the multicolor filament distributor, and the Core XY fully enclosed system. That is one of the craziest prices I've ever seen for a Core XY. And I'll tell you, I've been very pleased over the years with Anycubic. They've always found a way to try to deliver great performance at amazing prices. So let's see if this can actually hold up to the stiff competition in the market and how it performs. So let's dive in and start unboxing it.
By the power of Grayskull!
Oh! So we got it out of the box. Let's go ahead and unpack it. So far, everything looks really nicely packed. We have some Allen wrenches at the top, and ooh, the screen is like already connected. I've never seen that before. They usually package that separately, but they found a creative way to do it without damaging anything. A lot of people, they use glass, and here they use plastic. And I actually like the plastic better. I'm always terrified I'm gonna shatter. You know, when they're sending these things, I wonder why don't they all use some kind of a plexiglass or plastic see-through part for windows and doors. Do you guys have some idea about that? Put them in the comments below. I'm kind of curious, is glass somehow better in some way? I can't imagine it's cheaper, but anyway. Okay, beautiful. There we are. So the door is also completely plastic, also really nice. I actually prefer it to glass, but again, maybe there's a reason. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is it says we're gonna remove these 2 screws over there, and we're gonna use the 2.5 Allen wrench that came with it. Okay, there's 1, and there is 2. So now that those are out, they say we should just go to the top here and take out the Ace Pro. So let's do exactly that. Okay, so we're gonna take off the lid, and okay, so, oh, all right, so that came out really nicely. We'll put that to the side for now. Okay, so now that we removed the Ace Pro, it's now time to remove this box in the back, and probably has some accessories and things like that. So let's go ahead. All right, so we have this box here. We'll take a look at that in just a moment, and we'll pull out this packing foam. Okay, got another one over here by the poop chute, and we'll get to the other parts in just a moment. So now let's go ahead and remove those 4 screws. So now let's go ahead and remove the 4 screws. You'll notice over here, there's a red arrow over there and over there, as well as on this side over here and over here. So we're gonna remove the 4 screws, and then this thing is gonna come right out. So now that we've removed the 4 screws, 2 in the back, 2 in the front, we should be able to lift this up, which we can, and this comes out. This is, from my understanding, this should be garbage. And so we will chuck that. Okay, so now it's time for us to free the extruder. So we're going to just snip these out. You are gonna need a pair of scissors, or like what I like to call snippers. They don't come with one, so you definitely have to bring your own. Okay, there we go, free. And let's take that out. Carefully take out the tie wrap. Okay, so it's now time to take out the 3 screws. There's 2 in the front, here, and then 1 all the way in the back. Okay, so let's go over some of those parts that came in the brown box. We have our power cord. We also have our connector for the Ace Pro. So we'll put that to the side. We have this thing called the anti-blocking module. We do have a spool holder in the event that you're not going to use the Ace Pro or you want to put it on the side. It's totally optional. If you're using the Ace Pro, you don't need it. We have some activated carbon for air filtering. This is going to become really handy when you're printing ABS and other much more harmful materials. But overall, just carbon filtering is good on every material you load up. So I like that. And then they give us some other pieces here, such as screws here for the spool holder. We have screws for the filament hub, and they're nicely marked and labeled, which is really nice. Some pieces over here to help manage your PTFE tubes. We have the nozzle cleaning module over there as well. And we have a USB stick and some lubricant. So just make sure you understand that this is not edible. I know that sometimes when we get things from Prusa, they come with gummy bears. Some people might actually think that this is something that you can have as a tasty snack, but that's not the case here. It's not edible. Don't eat the lubricant. And then they also give you a nozzle cleaner over here. And we could see here that it's been inspected and it passed. Okay, so if you're going to install the spool holder, it's gonna go like this, where this little notch here is facing up and towards the back of the unit, and it would go over here. And then you're gonna put in these 2 screws. Because I'm using the Ace Pro, I'm not going to install that, but I did wanna show you in case you decide to do that on your own. Okay, and now it's time for us to go ahead and place the Ace Pro on the back side, just like that. So now let's go ahead and take the Ace Pro cable. We're gonna go ahead and take the one with 6 pins on it, like so. And we're gonna go ahead and connect it into the Ace Pro over here. So this side has 6 pins and it fits perfectly. Now, on this side, you'll have 4 pins, and that's gonna go right over here on the left side. If you're facing it, it's on the left side, and you're going to snap it right in, just like that. This was called the anti-blocking module. Later in the instructions, it's actually referred to as the filament hub, so don't get confused. Anti-blocking or filament hub, it's the same thing, and here it is. And what you're gonna do is you'll notice that there is 2 holes over here and 2 screw holes over there. And you're gonna line these up like so. And then basically, once they're lined up, you're gonna go ahead and take the 2 screws over here that say for filament hub and screw in these 2 screws. So I'm gonna load them up, 1 here and 1 over there. And I think this one is 2.0, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. And we're gonna go ahead and just put it in. Now, once that's connected, you'll notice that the filament hub comes with 6 pins, and right next to it is a 6-pin connection. So we're gonna go ahead and just connect it right in there. Okay, so now that we've put in our filament hub over here, we're now going to take this tube that's hanging out right from over here, and we're gonna plug it right into the filament hub. And that's it. When you open up your Ace Pro, you're gonna find some spare filament for you to test with, as well as the PTFE tube. So we're gonna just open up this bag, and we're gonna connect them right over here. There are 4 Teflon tubes that come with the unit, and you're just gonna hook them up right there on the bottom. Just push them in, and you'll feel like a snap, and you won't be able to go anymore. You don't have to press that hard. They go in really nicely. There you go. Now that's all 4. Now at this point, we now have to connect them up over here. So now let's go ahead and remove these blue clips over here. We're gonna go ahead and take these out. Okay, so now that we've gone ahead and removed the blue clips, there's no particular order, so you could just go ahead and put in the PTFE tubes into any port you want. Just make sure they go into 1 through 4. So there you go. We'll put this one in, put that one in, and that one in. Okay. Now, once that's done, you're gonna go ahead and put the clips back on. So make sure that you put these back on when they're done, like so. So now that all 4 clips have been put back on, we can now apply the power adapter to the back, and we're gonna now install the carbon filter. So let's go ahead and put this carbon filter in. And to do that, we just go ahead and take out this cover, and we just put that in here, like so. Just stick it in. Okay, put the cover back on, and you're good to go. That's it, all set. Now, if you recall from earlier, we have these little organizer clips, and these can be put on. It's totally optional. So if you kind of would like to tighten up your appearance here, this is a nice way to do that. So you could just snap these things in. So you see, you could just snap these things in and then move them accordingly, however you like. And I put one about here, and then another one I put a little further down. All right, so that really took no time at all. That's definitely one of the easiest setups, especially with a multicolor filament system. And now we're just gonna turn on the unit, and let's go to the LCD screen. So first we're gonna choose a language. We're gonna choose English, hit next. We're gonna choose global, and now it's gonna perform a Wi-Fi scanning. We're gonna go ahead and choose the network we're gonna go on, and we're connected. And now we're gonna go ahead and scan the code to install the app. And then we're going to hit next. At this stage, we're now gonna use that USB cable that came with it, and there's one right here on the side. So I'm just gonna go ahead and plug that in. And now I'm gonna hit start. And so I have my disc inserted. Oh, there it goes. Very good. So you can see at this point, it is now going through all the different calibration. Okay, so now that all the calibration is completed, it's time for us to hit finish, and we can already begin printing and loading up our filament. But before we do, we're gonna actually link this over to our mobile app. Not only is this QR code gonna take you to the App Store to download the app, but it's also gonna link your account to your mobile phone. So here we are in the Anycubic app, and we're gonna click Add Printer, and it's at this point that we're gonna go ahead and scan it. And once it scans, it says printer name, Anycubic Kobra S1. And so we're gonna go ahead and add it. Once you've added it, it says the printer is unavailable. Why is that? Okay, so after I rebooted the machine, I can in fact see that the Kobra S1 is there and it's available. And now if I want to, I can go ahead and initiate the firmware update. So there's one for the Color Engine Pro, the Ace Pro. So we'll go ahead and update that. Okay, so now you can see that the update is complete. You see it on the mobile app, but you could also see it on the screen that is now wrapping it up. And it says update in progress, and sure enough, there it is over there. And as soon as this is done, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shut down the printer, start it back up again so it boots up with the new firmware, all fresh, and then I'm gonna run a calibration again. And sure enough, it even states that you're supposed to do that. So we're gonna do just that and shut it down manually and then start it back up again. Okay, so after we reboot the printer, I now wanna do the calibration again just to make sure. So I'll go over here to calibrate, and we have a couple of options. You know what, I'm just gonna do the full calibration. I know I'm starting from the beginning and it's another 10 minutes, but it's probably best I go ahead and do that after a firmware upgrade. And I noticed that one of the firmware upgrades was something to do with PID, so it's probably a good idea to run your calibration again. They have made tremendous improvements in their mobile app. They have their Maker Online. They have their Maker Online library in here, and you can just basically choose things and send it straight to the printer. It looks like they now have an AI assistant, which is kind of interesting. And you can actually go into your specific printer, monitor it. You can actually monitor your printer, update firmware, so they have OTA updates. We don't have anything yet uploaded into the Ace Pro, but we will in a moment. And we could also start the drying capability in case we need to dry any of the filament. And then they have a control interface where you can move around your X, Y, and Z axis. You can shut down the motors in order to move things around. Here you could go ahead and print all kinds of different models in here. These are already loaded up onto your cloud account, but you could also go to the local disk. And here you can see on the USB, we even have a file here to print out adapters if you have cardboard filament spools. So that's pretty neat. I love the fact that you can push firmware updates through the mobile app. I think that's super useful. Just be sure to follow the instructions on the screen after it's done because you may need to reboot the machine. So everything is very intuitive, very clean. Give them lots of kudos. Okay, so let's now go ahead and load up our filament. And to do that, we're gonna just go ahead and lift this up and put down our filament right in there. Make sure it spins nice and freely. And one of the things I really, really like about the Ace Pro, it's probably one of my most favorite multicolor filament systems, is the fact that it really does a fantastic job of just pulling filament down. I really love that once it detects it, it just goes ahead and pulls it in automatically. So right now I'm putting it in, and let's see if it detects it. Oh, there we go. So you see it just pulls it in really nicely, and we're gonna go ahead and close the lid here. So for those of you who are using cardboard filament, they do recommend that you use adapter rings. Here I'm using a plastic spool, so I don't need it. There is a G-code on the USB drive itself. You could also find it on Maker Online and print it as well. So anyway, we're ready to go. We just needed one roll of filament. And here I can specify what material it is. I'm gonna say it's PLA, which is fine. So I go ahead, I hit OK. And I can even specify what the color is. This one is silver, so I'm fine. And I'm ready to go. And if I wanna go ahead and turn on the dryer, I can always turn that on just by clicking it. I can also set up filament backup. If I'm running a lot of the same color and I'm afraid I'm gonna run out, I do have the ability to have it do a failover. And for me, when it comes to multicolor printing, I prefer usually using that feature than doing multicolor prints because there is a lot of time and it is a lot of waste that goes with it. But let's get started. Now gone ahead and sent over the Benchy over to the Kobra S1. You can see that it is now heating up and it's getting ready. I can monitor this through the mobile app. One thing I also really liked about it, in the desktop software as well as the mobile app, you do have the ability to specify whether you want this to dry while it's printing. Now, keep in mind, there are some that debate whether or not that's a good idea. Some people say that if you dry it while you're printing, it could get too soft and cause clogs. I haven't tested this, and I'll probably do it in an upcoming short. But for right now, I'm sending it straight to the S1 without drying. So before the print begins, it's doing its leveling now. I actually enabled that. I probably didn't have to do it after a calibration, but I decided to go ahead and do it just in case. And it's going through that process. Now, what we don't see here is localized leveling. We see this in other printers like the Prusa, because some say, why do you have to level the entire bed if you know that the print is only going to be here or there, etc. So it does level the entire bed. Okay, so let's take a look at the Benchy. Okay, pretty nice on the bottom. That is pretty good. I'm using actually here some of my Galaxy Prusa filament, really just to kind of highlight, using it in silver, really just to bring out all the imperfections. And I really am very happy with this Benchy. I'm very impressed. This is a really nice Benchy, and I would definitely say that is a huge plus for the Kobra S1. I absolutely love how easy the interface is, and I can easily select the filament after I load it, specify what color, what type, and then here I'm going to go ahead and dry it. And there you go. I want to go to the Fantastic Movie in style, and I decided to go as the Thing. So I actually went over to Yosh Studios, and I found this awesome Thing helmet. And it comes with all kinds of cool accessories. Everything from a cigar to a hat to different expressions. I actually found this one with teeth, kind of like a grinning type of look or a grinding teeth type of look. And I went ahead and threw it onto the slicer, put on some supports, painted the different colors, and threw it over into the Anycubic Kobra S1. If you want to find out where to get the Thing helmet, these STL files, I'm going to put a link in the description below. Now, by the way, they're not the only ones making this file. In fact, if you want to get a little bit of variety, there's some amazing files from Do 3D, and I'll include a link to those files as well in the description below. Oh no! Well, at least that was my thought at first. But actually, things are looking pretty okay. We're gonna take a look in just a moment. But the print actually finished in 29 hours and 24 minutes, a little bit ahead of schedule. But you will notice that there is a lot of this stringiness all over the place. And that was because this prime tower actually came loose. And the question is, why did it come loose? And here's some tips for you so that you don't run into the same thing. Number one recommendation I have is that if you're doing a large print like this, you're typically not going to have to worry about this if you're doing smaller prints. But when you're doing something large, I would recommend that you put the infill setting to gyroid rather than the default. And then when it comes to the prime tower, you'll notice that this brim that holds it down, it's just not enough. And I would recommend that you would increase this from, I think it's 5 millimeters, you'll increase it to 10 millimeters, whatever it is. I would just double the width of the brim on the prime tower. Now, that wasn't the only other thing that I did wrong here. I actually left the door open, and I think that that brought in too much of a breeze into here and kind of cooled down the bed a little bit. And I really should have just kept the door closed. And the only reason why I kept it open, not only just to get this awesome time-lapse video, but mainly because I was concerned that 3D printing PLA, typically on some printers, you have to leave the door open. And while this isn't an active heating chamber, it does have a cooling fans which will help regulate the chamber temperature. And so I actually got this confirmed from Anycubic, and they actually said to me, generally, you do not need to leave the door open to prevent overheating. Our printers have built-in cooling fans inside to regulate the chamber temperature. So between those three things, I'm pretty sure that's why I got it, but I'm gonna try it out again. Okay, here we go, moment of truth. So this took a total of 30 hours and 37 minutes. And this time around, I've increased the prime tower width so it did not get knocked over, which is great. And then let's see how the rest came out. Ooh, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This looks great. All right, let's remove the filament and see how this thing looks. So I am really thrilled about how this came out. This is just fantastic. And if you're interested in printing the same model, you can find the link in the description below. I used Sunlu PLA Plus for the orange. Also from Sunlu, I used Bone White for the teeth. So when it came to the gums, I actually used Erion's matte PLA, and this is called Pottery Red. And I actually think this is probably one of the best colors for the gums. And it really came out great. I actually used this before when I did the Venom helmet, and it came out fantastic. So for the next step, just to finish up this project, I'm gonna add magnets over here and over here, and then I'm gonna maybe make something for the eyes, but that's it. I'm all good to go. Okay, so now let's get into installing the magnets for our helmet. You'll see it's a little rough up here, but I could always sand that down. And sometimes when you put it onto the helmet, you don't actually end up seeing some of those pieces. So we're gonna just ignore that for now. But basically the first thing is safety. So you're gonna wanna go ahead and get some of these gloves, because trust me, you don't want this stuff sticking on you. And you know, when you do it a bunch of times, if it's simple enough, then likely you'll get away unscathed, but I don't know, usually I'm not that lucky. So I'm gonna put them on for today. And if you're doing this with kids, it's an absolute must, okay? You're also gonna wanna go ahead and get some magnets. Now, the Yosh Studios used to do 8x2, now they do 10x2, so just keep that in mind. And what I usually like to do is I just wanna kinda get an understanding which I'm gonna use as north or south. And remember, it could be honestly either side, but when you put it together, north has to go to south, not north to north, otherwise they're gonna repel. Okay, so before we were putting in our magnets in this way, now we need to be putting our magnets in this way. So we're gonna go ahead and just mark it, and we're gonna call this, we're just gonna do an N for north. I could have done S for south, I did an X, Y, I don't know. But anyway, this is the direction I now need to go. So I need to make sure that this north stays up the entire time. All right, so now that I know that, it's time for us to apply. Okay, so we're now done, and excuse the rest of my mess. I do a lot of things. I'm doing a little bit of cyberbrick. I'm doing a little bit of an unboxing review. I'm also putting together the Thing helmet. But essentially, now all we're gonna have to do is kind of connect these pieces together like so. Oh, did you see that? How nice that just went together? Boom, look at that. And it's ready to go immediately, because that Mitria Appel with the accelerator works like magic. That is beautiful. But I'm gonna just kind of let it cure a little bit separately. I don't think you should do that right away, give it a few minutes. But I know you're not gonna wanna wait that long, so I decided to show it to you and take the risk right now. It could have came out horribly, it didn't, thank God it didn't. But now you get to see how you put these things together. And now I am ready to go see the Fantastic Four in cosplay. So anyway, here we are with a full-size, large-scale, multicolor print, and I'm really happy with the results. But I did stumble along the way, and I made some errors that I want to share with you so that you don't end up with the same problems that I had. So the first tip that I'm going to tell you is when they say do not use cardboard filament spools, they're not joking. Don't use them. And that's nothing new. Most multicolor filament systems will say do not use these. But when I was using the Ace Pro, I ended up seeing that there was just like no resistance. And I figured, well, it looks like it's moving smoothly inside the Ace Pro. Maybe I can get away with it. Wrong. I did not get away with it. I also ended up getting kind of a false positive because when I used a roll with less filament on it, it ended up with more success. But that's because there was less weight on the roll. So you have to understand that the Ace Pro, like many multicolor filament systems out there, they pull on that filament. And there's a sensor in there that looks for resistance or drag. And the reality is when you put on a fresh new roll of filament and it's cardboard, it's going to detect that drag. So I highly recommend that you stick with plastic spools. Now for those of you who have cardboard filament and you want to use it with the Ace Pro, well, good news, because they actually have adapters that you can print out and just connect onto these rolls and you're good to go. And then the last tip that I have is if you're going to do a large print like this, I noticed that the prime tower or the brim for the prime tower is set to 5 millimeters. When I did my first run of this, my prime tower fell over. And I was able to still get a print and it was okay, but it really did cause a lot of problems once the prime tower went over. And I just didn't understand why it fell over. And when I looked more closely into it, I just noticed that when you do very large prints, you know, basically you're just gonna need more support at the foundation of the prime tower. And so I would recommend changing it from 5 millimeter to 10 millimeter. Now there's another thing that could have also have created instability with my prime tower. I was actually trying to do a time-lapse video with my GoPro, and so I left the door open. So basically by leaving that door open, I welcomed in maybe a breeze or some change in temperature, and it's possible that the bed just wasn't as hot enough in that area closer to the front, and it weakened the prime tower. But if you don't want to chance it and you do want to open up that door, I would highly recommend increasing that brim size to 10 millimeters. So overall, at the end of the day, I had a great experience with the Kobra S1. Out of the box, it was a simple setup and took me no time to get up and running. After that, hooking up the Ace Pro was just as simple. And I love the fact when any system pulls the filament for you. I love that. I don't like having to feed things all the way through a PTFE tube. I love the fact that once you put it in, you don't have to push on a button or pull anything back. You just have to take your filament, put it into the insert, and it just pulls your filament. And I love that. So when it comes to their software, I was very impressed. It's very simple, very intuitive, and very friendly. So when it comes to price, the Kobra S1 combo goes for about $599. I've definitely seen some discount codes here and there that brings it down another $50, but they come and go, so be on the lookout for that. The other thing that it includes in that price is 4 rolls of filament. So you get 4 kilograms of filament included, all for $5.99. So that's a really good price, and I'm gonna put a link in the description below. Now, just to go over the features again, remember this thing has a 250 by 250 by 250 millimeter build size. It has input shaping. It has auto Z calibration. Basically all the features that you would expect in any Core XY 3D printer today. When it comes to speed, Anycubic claims that this could go upwards of 600 millimeters per second, but they're going to recommend that you stay somewhere in the 300 millimeters per second range, and that's quite typical of what we see from other Core XY solutions of this same build and size. The hot end goes upwards of 320 degrees Celsius, making an excellent choice for those harder to print materials out there like ABS. I was also very impressed with the noise level. They state it's about 44 decibels, and I would say that that was actually relatively accurate. However, keep in mind that when you're running the Ace Pro, that actually generates more noise than the printer itself. When it comes to multicolor printing, the Ace Pro can actually be linked with another Ace Pro for a total of 8 colors. Anyway, at the end of the day, I think Anycubic did a great job with their first Core XY model. I love the Ace Pro. I've loved it even when I did the review on the Kobra 3 Max. The Ace Pro is awesome. It's a great multicolor filament system, and it's really easy to use and to maintain. Now, when it comes to this whole combo unit and who it's meant for, well, I will definitely say that it's great for both beginners to intermediate level users. They also created an entire ecosystem where their Maker Online library of 3D printable files are embedded into the slicer as well as the mobile app. And both of these applications are really intuitive and easy to use. So I give them a lot of kudos on the software part because it's really not that easy to create that kind of system, especially on a mobile app. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. And happy printing.
It's clobbering time!